Two. Hi, I'm Alicia, and welcome to my Operational Innovations channel, where I focus on process tips, techniques, and strategies to help you level up in the area of project management, product ownership, and small business operations. So today's topic is focused from my Small Business Health Check series. We are back on this topic of know your numbers. It's the number one tip out of that top 10 tips series. And this topic is so important. And as I went through this series, and I spoke with Wendy before, and I spoke with a couple of other people, I found out just how important this topic was. And so we're going to circle back on this. We'll find the links below for my first interview with Wendy, where you'll hear more about her and her business, what she does, and she'll tell us about the top 3 things that she found that her clients are having some challenges with as entrepreneurs. So let's jump right in here. So let me just tell you a little bit about Wendy and I. So Wendy and I are peer coaches, and we met each other in our coaching forum. So we're both professional coaches from the organization that we trained with, which is called ICA. And that's how we met each other. And we just kind of discovered that we had some well, we both had a need for coaching hours, and so we've been coaching each other and finding out more about each other. And so I'm really excited to welcome Wendy to our series today. So Wendy, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Alicia. It's great to come back.
Yeah,
Share some knowledge with the viewers. Yeah.
I'm happy to have you back. You know, the last time you were here, when we talked in our interview, you shared the top 3 challenges that you find, because you work with a variety of small business operators, from single operators to people that have, you know, maybe 10 employees or maybe up to 50 or 100 employees. So you work with a lot of different folks across a lot of different industries. And the top 3 challenges that you shared with us last time were the number 1, not understanding the difference between cash flow and profit. Number 2 was making financial decisions without understanding the impact on your business. And number 3 was not knowing how much profit you want to make, nor having a clear plan for how to get there. So those were the top 3 things that you see some of these small business operators stumbling over. And today we're going to double click on this number 1, the cash flow report. I'm so excited about this. You're probably like, wow, I'm glad you're excited about it. I am, because I'll tell you, when you said it the first time, I thought, well, I thought I knew what you were talking about, and that's why I realized we needed to come back to this. So Wendy, what is a cash flow report?
I'm delighted that you're so excited about it, because actually it excites me, because it is actually, and I found out something about it this week. It's actually a reasonably new report. Like up until about 25 years ago, nobody ever thought about it until, I guess, some bright spark kind of thought, oh, well, it would be quite useful to actually be able to track the actual flow of money coming in and out of a business.
Yeah.
So basically, that's what a cash flow report is. It's showing you the amount of cash that comes into your business and the amount of cash that goes out. And yeah, and it can be really useful to forecast so that you can actually see what your cash flow is likely to look like in 12 months time. And if you're managing it on a regular basis and you have some things that sort of are a bit out of the ordinary, you can see how they're going to actually impact on your cash flow further on down the track. So, you know, and I think as business owners, we all know that we're all familiar with that term, cash is king.
Yeah.
And I mean, so, you know, if you haven't got healthy cash flow in your business, well, it's going to cause you problems sooner or later. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I love that you said this quote, cash flow is king. I mean, you're down in New Zealand, and so cash flow is, or cash is king, is an international concept, right? So you don't have to be, you know, in the United States or, you know, wherever. I mean, the idea of having some idea about how your cash is flowing is super important. And so what are some other names of this cash flow report? You said this is a recent report, so what are some other things that people might call it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is a recent report, and like in terms of, you know, accountancy. The other, it could be named a lead cash report. So it could be known as a lead cash report, but that's, it's certainly not called a lead cash report in New Zealand, but I do know that it could be called that in other countries. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you mentioned before that part of the reason why this report is important is so that you can constantly keep an eye on how money is coming in and out of the business and how it's flowing. Is there any other reason, or what's another reason that this would be an important report for us to know as small business operators?
Well, other than being able to keep track of what your cash flow is looking like and how much money you've got in your bank account or going to have in your bank account at a given period of time. Yeah. I've actually got a list of things here. Probably there's about 5 of them and I can't remember them. So I'll just read them out if that's okay. Yeah. So, cash flow forecast is important for your business because it helps you pay your business expenses when they fall due. Yeah. It helps you to predict and plan for large cash outflows. It helps improve your relationships with financiers, suppliers, and employees. It improves business processes to boost cash flow, profit, and business value. It can drive your business to achieving your goals in a managed way. It can help you gain an understanding of cash and liquidity for better decision making. It can help you understand key cash flow drivers in your cash conversion cycles. So it can just give you peace of mind around your cash flows, knowing that, that your needs are known and are going to be properly funded. Yeah. So for me, I think like peace of mind, I think is the word that really, it comes to mind when I talk about cash flow. Like just gives you peace of mind that actually your business is okay.
Yeah. Well, peace of mind can really be something that can be super important for a small business operator, especially now, with everything going on in the world. I can imagine that there are a lot of sleepless nights when you don't know how your cash is going to flow or what your resources are going to be. So, is there something that you have? I think you had something you were going to share with us where we could kind of see what that looks like, that whole cash flow report. Maybe you can walk us through what the report looks like. So I use QuickBooks and I can generate something that I think is called a cash flow report. The thing that I noticed about it is it looked like it was from January to now. Is this a report that is kind of accumulating over the year, or is it month by month, or how should I be looking at this?
Well, I think depending on your accounting system, you should be able to manipulate the date range in your report. So you can view it on a month-by-month basis, or you can view it on a quarterly basis, or a 6-monthly basis, or an annual basis. Okay. How I tend to work with it with my businesses, and I prepare cash flow forecasts normally for 12 months for my clients, and then I run a cash flow forecast every month, an actual one, and I update the actuals in the 12 monthly forecast so that the actuals actually impact on the figures further on down the year. Mm-hmm. So I have actually got a cash flow forecast here that I've prepared that I can just run through. Great. Can you see that okay?
I can see it great, thank you.
Yeah, okay. So here we've got, this is sort of my cash flow forecast where I've estimated the income coming in on a month-by-month basis during the year. And these are all the expense types on a month-by-month basis. So down here and up here, so we go back up here and we've got, so that's the net revenue coming in. So that's basically the cash coming in. Then your total expenses. So this figure here is the difference between the cash coming in and the cash going out, which gives you your cash surplus or deficit. Yep. Then we've got your opening bank account balance and that cash surplus from up there. Less, we've got owners' drawings, because obviously the reason owners are in business is to make money so that they can pay themselves. And I've also got taxation plotted in there. And so with all those things factored in, that'll give you your estimated closing cash bank bank account balance at the end of that month.
Mhm.
And this one down here just shows you the movement. So in this month of April, I projected that we'd have a cash deficit during the month. But if you look at May, we've got a cash surplus because more money came in than went out.
Mm.
So that's a forecast. And what I would do on a monthly basis is after the end of the month, I'd actually generate the monthly cash flow out of the accounting system.
Mhm.
And I'd replace those estimated figures with the actual figures.
Uh-huh.
And then the actual result updates all the figures along here. So if you have a really good month, you can actually see how that impacts further on down the year. But if you have a really bad one, you can see what the impact's going to be.
Sure.
So yeah. So really it's quite a straightforward report.
Yeah.
But it's a great planning tool because if you have a really bad month, you can see how it's going to impact. And then you can you've got time, generally you've got time to actually do something about it.
Yeah. So how is this different from a balance sheet?
Okay. Well, a balance sheet is, a balance sheet, it actually measures the assets and the liabilities and equity of a business.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it'll tell you how much you've got on your bank account at a certain date. And so a balance sheet is a historical document. So it tells you about the past or it tells you about right now. It doesn't actually give you any information about the future.
I see.
Mm.
Well, and that's important. I mean, this whole idea of, how do we plan for the future is really important. And so if we were looking at this report here, this is looking out into, because we're in August right now, so you're looking out ahead.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. So I prepared this. Generally in New Zealand, our financial year ends in March. So I sort of prepared this as a fresh cash flow forecast on the assumption that we were at the beginning of the financial year. But what I would do is after I'd plotted the actuals in, I normally just blank them, like I normally colour them so that I know that actually this part of the cash flow forecast has actually got actuals in it.
I see.
And the other thing you can do is you can actually turn it into a rolling forecast if you want to. So you can kind of just keep adding on a month. Yeah. So that you've got 12 months worth of predicted data, and you can just see how that changes on a month by month basis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how would you use a report like this? You've given us kind of your interpretation of it and how you would interpret it. So that was actually my next question. That's great. So how would you use this to generate income? Is it kind of looking ahead and seeing where you might have these deficits and seeing what you need to do to close the gap? Is that how you would use it as an income to inspire income generation?
Well, the way I use it to inspire income generation is I actually quite like money.
Me too.
And I think, so I think, like if I was to say, I'm looking at the bottom line of this cash flow forecast and I'm going, okay, if I generate that sort of income during the year, then actually I'm going to have about $20,000 more in my bank account at the end than I had at the beginning. Yeah. So, if I was to actually go, well, I'm actually going to try and generate 25k worth of income every month. If I was to do that, and then I can see what effect that has on the bank account balance at the end of the year. So it can be quite motivating if like if you're really wanting to plan for a big holiday or buy a new car or whatever, you kind of look at it and go, well, if I generated that sort of income, this is the result that I'm going to have at the end of the year. So that's the way I see it. Mm.
I see. And the other thing that I've noticed here on this is that you already have your owner's drawing. So that's basically the pay that you're giving yourself. When we look at this 27,000, this is like surplus. This is the money that would just be in the bank that, to your point, you could buy a car with or go on a holiday with or whatever.
That's dead right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or use it to grow or use it to grow your business. It's, you know, it's just whatever spins your wheels, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about, I guess, you know, whatever you're planning for. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That actually really helps me, you know, understand this report a bit better. And like I said, there is one that you can generate right out of QuickBooks, and I'll see how it lines up with the way this is laid out. But what I appreciate about what you've put here is this looks like a very reasonably simple to navigate format. And anybody could put something like this together, and you have it in Excel here, so anybody could put that together, and they can just kind of fill in their numbers and do some real planning for themselves over the year.
Mm. I think it's a great tool for creating awareness around what, you know, what's happening with your cash and where it's going.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you can do it on, you know, obviously this spreadsheet's for a business, but there's no reason why you can't do that for your personal finances as well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, you mentioned that this was a newer report in the whole history of accountancy. Roughly when did it come on the scene?
Well, the research I did was sort of mid 70s to sort of
Wow.
to into the 80s. So yeah, so it is only about 25 years old.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that probably explains why a lot of people haven't really heard of it.
Right, they don't know about it. Yeah, yeah. Well, this is so
No.
great. I mean, what a great review of this report. I appreciate you bringing it up so that we can kind of click through a little bit, and you've made some adjustments to the numbers to help us really see how we could really use this for future forecasting and planning. Can you think of any other resources that people might that you could share for people about this cash flow report? Is there anything else?
Well, no, there's nothing specific, but look, there is a lot of information on the internet around cash flows. And, you know, if you were just to Google cash flow forecast or cash flow statement, there'd be like just tons and tons of information around it if you wanted to spend a bit more time learning about it.
Okay.
What I might add is this is a really simplistic form of cash flow forecasting, which I use with my clients, and it works really well because it's simple.
Yeah.
But actually, in its pure form, a proper cash flow forecast is actually split up into 3 sections. And the 3 sections are operating activities, investing activities, and financing activities.
Okay.
But yeah, but for the purpose of this interview today, I just, you know, like just keeping it simple, I think is ideal.
Okay. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So what's the first one again? It's what kind of,
Okay.
the 3 things again, the 3 sections that are typically on this type of report?
Okay, the first one's operating.
Operating, okay.
Yeah, which is pretty much what I'm showing on my cash flow.
Yeah.
The other one is investing.
And so what would be
And
in
then that's really like, yeah, I like increases in inventory, buying fixed assets, like that would be to do with, you know, like growing things, like investing in, you know, yeah.
Got it.
Other bigger assets that aren't part of operating expenditure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then that third section?
Financing's to do with, like, it's normally to do with borrowing money or lending money. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, I appreciate this one because it seems like it really speaks to the small business operator because, maybe, depending on what kind of business you're in, as a single operator, small business, you may not have like big equipment and be doing that kind of stuff. I think this one really speaks to what we might be doing as single operators, of small businesses. And, like I've said all along, people, your mileage may vary with this. You might find a different report that might be more suitable to your needs, but I think this is a great place to start to understand the concept of the cash flow report.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And I think it really depends on the end user. Like, I mean, yeah, it's pointless preparing a report for someone who doesn't understand how to read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, being mindful of who the end user is going to be of the report can be really useful as well.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I sure appreciate this. This was great. Thank you so much for walking us through that. Thank you for giving us a little bit of a history of this cash flow report. What was really impactful for me is where you made those changes at the end, and we can kind of see how it affected the money that would be in the bank at the end of the year. Because, like we both said, we like money and we like to be able to see, what effect can we have on that at the end of the year if we're trying to plan for some purchase or some trip, or just to know that we've got that peace of mind of having that money in the bank. There's ways that we can plan for that. So thank you for so much for that. Thank you, Wendy, for walking us through that and sharing your expertise.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So folks, this is our third interview on this topic of know your numbers. What resonated with you on this? Was this a surprise to you, this cash flow report, as it was to me? If you've got any tips or things that you'd like to share, please go ahead and add those in the comments. We will continue with our series, the top 10 business tips for small business operators, in the Small Business Health Check series. Look forward to those upcoming videos. If you like this video, I invite you to like and subscribe and hit that notify button so that you can be notified the next time we have something coming up. And so thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.